Okay. Last Sunday night we had Followers of the Way. And we personalized the 23rd Psalm for ourselves. And so there's these purple papers in the back, and there's 2 sheets to it, if you want to look at doing that for yourself. Because I thought it was way cool. And I think other people thought it was really good too. And got a lot out of it. Okay. Here's what's going on with me. I have this much to share with you this morning in this much time. And so what usually happens is I try to put little memory things in my aura, and then they ignite when it's time for me to talk about them. So I'm all scattered, so I need just a second to refocus. So if you give me a second here. Thank you. Better. Wonderful. And what I want to share with you today is something that's really on my heart because it's where I've been. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the difference between being in God's waiting room and being stuck. Being stuck is when you hang out in your jammies and watch TV all day and go. Being in God's waiting room is where you keep trying something and nothing happens. And you try something and nothing happens. And you try something and nothing happens. They feel about the same. Bordering on pretty darn yucky, actually. When we're stuck, it's usually because we're out of alignment with our truth, or out of alignment with our purpose and our destiny. So I want to talk just a little bit briefly about being stuck, and then I want to talk about being in God's waiting room, because they are really different energies. Being stuck anybody feel like they're stuck? You don't have to raise your hand. You can keep it a secret, it's okay. If you feel listless, dull, hopeless, sigh a lot, or put upon, you could be stuck. And a certain kind of stuck. I'll get to that in a minute. If you feel exasperated, agitated, frustrated, edgy, or hostile, that's a different kind of stuck. Any of those feelings sound familiar? And if you feel like, why me? Self-judgment, oh, shame on me. I can't, or I can't get it done, or I can't do it, I'm a failure, or I just don't know how. You feel bleak? That's a different kind of stuck. But stuck. Not in God's waiting room, but stuck. If you feel like you're trying too hard, or overachieving, or you put on a happy face and you don't really feel happy, you keep moving so life doesn't catch up with you, or you do too many things at once and you feel a little scattered, or you escape in Candy Crush. Oh, sorry. I know who you are. Now that's, when you have those feelings, that's being stuck. When you're in God's waiting room, it's a different kind of feeling. It's like pushing against a wall and you can't get anywhere. Now there's some frustration attached, but not the same kind of frustration. It's more of a moving through molasses kind of thing. Just not going to happen. Well, I've been in God's waiting room for a while. And I don't like it, as my grandson would say. Of course, he said that when he was little. He's now grown, doesn't say that anymore, but I still do. That's how that works. And you can tell when you're in God's waiting room and when you try to do something and you're blocked. Some of you know I have changed the dates for Dream Quest. I had it set for this weekend, and then I had to change it because I just couldn't move forward on it. And every time I tried to move forward, something would block the path. The computer would shut down, or couldn't get the phone to work, or whatever. One day I even had made the plans in the morning. Okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to get the papers out, and I'm going to start working on this. Hell or high water, I'm doing that. We had an avalanche in the closet that has... I swear, didn't we, Phil? We had an avalanche. And there's boxes that just went right out of the closet, and so now I have to pick those up and go. It's just kind of crazy. That's when you know you're in God's waiting room. It's when stuff happens that's beyond your control that says, no, you're not doing that now. And you can do like me and go, well, yes, I can. I just push through. I have this will of iron. I'm going to just make it happen. And then you have an avalanche. Or other things get in the way. You know, I think I was starting to work on something else with a dream quest. I was going to send an email to people. And I had 4 phone calls in a row of urgent things that just had to be dealt with. Here's your sign that this is not the time for you to work on this. This is time to just stop. So I've changed the date. Instead of the mediumship class in October, I've moved the dream quest to October. And I thought, well, I really wanted, get this, I really wanted that mediumship before Halloween. Because Halloween is a really big time of energy and spirits and all that sort of thing. As soon as I decided I was going to move Dream Quest to that weekend, I had the flash of, it's best to have mediumship in November because you don't want the interference of all that energy. You want to teach people how to talk to people on the other side that have crossed over. And then, oh, by the way, we can talk to spirits that haven't and help them too. But your focus needs to be on people who have crossed over. They're the ones that deserve this attention. They're the ones. So I thought, oh, well, that should have been so clear for me. But you know, it wasn't until I could wait and be okay with being in God's waiting room that the information came through. So it's kind of like this. It's kind of like being at a train station and your beloved says, wait for me, honey. And they board the train and they go off and they have things that they have to do. Do you sit at the train station and wait for them? No. But we do that for God. I'm going to wait right here and you better fix my world right now because I'm frustrated. No, we need to go home. We need to do the deal. And what's doing the deal is doing the day-to-day, doing what's next right thing to do, and staying in focus of what's important in your life. With the faith that it's all going to work out and the information will come. It's really hard to have faith when you feel like you just need to be banging your head against the wall, and why is that wall not moving? Or am I the only one that does that? Oh, please tell me I'm not. So I have a couple of Bible verses I want to share with you that I think are very appropriate to this. Not that one. That one. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Yes, wait for the Lord. Wait. Waiting is wait is a 4-letter word not to be used in polite company. I don't like that word. I'd rather make a mistake than wait. And by gosh, I have done that a lot. So learning to wait is a challenge that I'm facing. And I'm hanging in there. I'm not an expert at it yet. So I'm just keeping on. And then there's this, that was in Psalms 27:14. Wait for the Lord. Wait. It's like he took the train into the future and he's got stuff to do. He, she, he, we, it, they, whatever that is for you. They're doing the deal in your behalf. But what is important for you may have some energy that is necessary to set in play. You know, have you ever had the synchronicity of just running into just the right person at just the right time? Well, who do you think does that? You know, that's a spiritual thing where somebody wakes that person up and says, you know, I think we need to go do that. Phil and I ran into somebody just the other day. We were shopping for something. Actually, shopping for my birthday present. He was going to get me out of darkness. the Star Trek movie. And the one store we went to didn't have it, but their sister store did. So, well, we could do it later. Well, let's just do it now. So we went and did it then, and just happened to start up a conversation with somebody that I think is really going to be important in our lives. So that was really cool. So you just never know what blocks are happening now, that waiting room now is going to open a door for us if we don't get frustrated and upset. Why, God, did you do this to me? Not that you would say that, but that's what I would say. Here's what I'd like to share also with you is Psalms 37, verse 4. Love this, love this, love this, love this. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. He may not give you what you want, but He will give you the desires of your heart. Sometimes what we want is not what is good for us, what's right for us. But if we put our desires and our longing and our joy upon spiritual things, upon that spiritual process, then what is right for our heart will appear. Because there is a loving being that delights in you and will give you the desires of your heart. The humble will inherit the land, verse 11, and will delight themselves in abundant prosperity. The steps of a man are established by the Lord, and He delights in His way. He meaning he, she, we, it, they, source, delights in our way, delights in us. And if we forget that, see, that's the problem. When we're in God's waiting room, it's easy to forget that it's all a process. It's easy to take it personal, and it's easy to say, it's not happening, therefore it must be either I'm doing something wrong or God's doing something wrong. Those are the only two options, right? Think about that one for a second. But if we can be in that place where, okay, I'm uncomfortable with this, I would really like things to move along a little faster here, but everything is happening for a reason. There's a reason for this. Do not do as I do. You know, I'm just figuring this crud out. Almost said a bad word. I'm just figuring this stuff out. You know, I'm learning how to wait. Maybe you can get it better than I can. Maybe you can do it faster than I can. I hope so, because waiting hurts. Waiting is hard when you get frustrated, because then you lose sight of your goal, you get discouraged, and you get disgruntled. Nothing worse than being gruntleless. So let's talk a little bit now about being stuck. Can you see the difference between being stuck and being in God's waiting room? I think it's harder to be in God's waiting room. Because if I'm stuck, then it's my responsibility. I got to kick myself in the backside and let's go. Or have a really good friend that says, what do you think you're doing? But it's harder to just sit and be. I don't know if it's our culture that, you know, we have to keep doing. And I think one of the things Phil quoted this morning was, just because you don't see something happening doesn't mean it's not happening. What was that, Phil? Which one was that one? Don't confuse movement with progress. Okay, and I just lost your page. Okay. So, don't confuse lack of movement with failure. Because stuff's going on inside that maybe it's hard for us to discern. Maybe the stuff that's going on inside is learning to be trusting what the life experience is. And what a beautiful, joyful thing when I finally got the message. It's best to not have that interference. You know? How wonderful is that? You'd have thought I'd have figured it out. But, I had to wait until I was in the right time, right place in God's waiting room. And when I was ready, the door for that information opened. I wasn't ready. I wanted it a certain way. And when I couldn't get my way, it was frustrating. And I didn't like that. But when I finally got in that space of, okay, I'm just going to change the date, we'll be okay, then the door for that information opened. So let's talk about being stuck. If you felt, hi Toby, listless, dull, hopeless, sigh a lot, and feel put upon, you may be without a dream or a goal. So how does one get a dream or a goal? Well, if what you're doing now ain't working, do something different. Even if it's weird. I mean, we do weird really well. You can't dig out of a hole. Didn't we just sing that song? You can't dig out of a hole. Put the shovel down. Phil and I, years ago, we were working in the backyard. Actually, I came home from a couple of sessions, and here was Mr. Phil, and the whole sliding glass door was out on the lawn. We had this big gaping hole in the house, and the threshold was gone. It was very stressful for me. At that point, I had never really seen Phil do any projects. We had recently moved, and up until that time we'd been married but living apart and working businesses and stuff. So we hadn't really had a home where we could work on this home. So this was the first time I'd seen him do a project. Let's just say I was pretty freaked out. So it was getting dark. The door was back in, and he was getting ready to screw it all together, whatever. And he needed the extension cord plugged in. I said, "Go, honey, go plug in the screwdriver, or plug in the extension cord." And I do pretty good at following directions usually. So I went over, and I was so tired. Picked these things up, and I knew there was something wrong. Couldn't figure it out. Stress had taken its toll. My brain was shut down. Did you know that when we're stressed out, we go into this primal state of our thinking and we can't cognitively think anymore? We move into the primal state of fight and flight. So I was hanging on to these two things and couldn't cognitively understand what I was doing. Phil said, "Honey, they're both male parts. You got to put one. You got to get the other one. You got to get the female one." And I looked at him, still in this deer in the headlights, frozen in time moment, and he said, "Put the yellow cord down." I could do that. Pick up the brown cord that's over there. I could do that. Put them together. I did it! Yay me! But we go stupid. We can't cognitively think when we're tired or stressed out. So if we're stuck, then that can drag us into this cognitive space of, oh my God, I can't think. So if you're in this place where you're stuck and you need a new goal, oh my God, what does a goal look like? I don't even know what a goal is anymore. So it's important to do some meditation, do some stress release, have a laugh. That's why we laugh at the Divine Fellowship, because we can't think when we're stuck back here. And guess what? In our work world, it's like, you better perform or you're out. In our families, it's you better do what I say, or you better make us all happy, or you're out. So we have that fight or flight all the time going on. So when we laugh, we can release that and get some energy flow into the frontal cortex of the brain, where we can get some energy and we can think again. And we have a chance of going, oh, what does my heart desire? Because the brain gets locked into, I should do this, I should do that. Oh, that's where I've been the last few weeks. I should be able to get this done. Avalanche. Maybe not. Don't you love it when I can live life for you? Live the trials for you. All right, so if you're feeling listless, dull, hopeless, sigh a lot, and put upon, you don't have a goal yet. Might be time to look. I'll get into this pocket then. Might be time to get a new goal. I think we need that fixed. I think so. No. Now, if you're feeling agitated, and not because of Phil, exasperated, frustrated, edgy, and hostile, you might not be in a place where you're able to express yourself meaningfully. Maybe you're just one foot in front of the other, and there's no meaningful expression. The cure for that, the way to get over that, is find meaning in whatever you do, or find something meaningful to do. I had somebody that came out and said, I quit my job last week. Good for you, because it was no longer meaningful for her. The work she was doing was meaningful, but the environment she was in had stolen all the meaning out of it for her. So sometimes we can change us and our environment will change. Sometimes we have to change our environment. And only you will know the truth of that. Only you will know what to do about that. But find meaning in what you're doing, and that agitation will settle down. The why me? Bewildered, can't get it right, feel like a failure, feel overworked. How can I do it? Feel a little bleak. Okay, that's without joyful expression, without joyful fulfillment. So the other one is meaningful expression. Being able to do something meaningful, meaning in your life. This is having fun, joyful exuberance for living. And there's certain people like Tracy who can find joyful exuberance in anything. So if you need any help with that, Tracy will probably put on a seminar for us. We can do that. All right, so if you're trying too hard, overachieving, can I go back to the joy a bit? I'm being drawn back to the joy a bit. Two things I'd like to bring to your attention about that. Sometimes we don't want to use the word have to. Don't want to use oughta, gotta, must, should, or all of that. But there's an imperative here. I want you to fill in that blank for yourself. The imperative here is without a path for joy to enter your life, you're going to stay in that same spot. So creating a pathway for that joy to enter your life could be really valuable to you. And one way to do that, one way to create that pathway, is to remember what you used to do for fun. Because sometimes if we get caught up in being stuck, we forget who we are, we forget what we're all about. So what did you used to do for fun? Well, let me think, I gotta think way back. If you have to think way back, how sad is that? So that pathway for fun may be a little more difficult for you to acquire or to remember or to carve out for yourself. And maybe trying new things is going to be a part of that. And maybe carving out that pathway up to joy is going to require some assistance. Hang out with joyful people. Make sense? It's imperative. This is not going to just happen by accident. Life doesn't happen by accident. Well, life happens by accident. But your life doesn't happen by accident. Am I right?
Or not.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. If you're trying too hard, keep moving so fast so life doesn't catch up with you. If you're trying to be focused on escapism, you feel like you're scattered, doing too many things at once, you may have lost focus. You may need a quest. A quest. Now here's the deal with a quest. It's different than a goal. A goal is, I'm going to do that. I'm going to have that. I'm going to be that. I'm going to get that. That's a goal. A quest is, I'm going to search for the best bowl of soup in the Tri-Cities. That's a quest. And then you quest for that. You go for it, and you try different things, and you examine and you experience different things. The goal is not the end result of having the best one. The process is the goal. The process is the experience. And so that it's not about acquiring or attaining a particular thing. It's about the experience of the quest, questing for something, being on a quest. What could you quest for? What would be wonderful to experience? What would be wonderful to know? I'm going to visit every park in Washington State. I'm going to go to every historic site in Washington State, or wherever you're from. That would be a quest. The quest for understanding, the quest for knowledge, the quest for the experience. And that will lead you into where you will feel less stuck. And tailor that quest to fit for your personal desires, your personal opinions, your personal preferences. Does that make sense? Now here, if you have felt all of these feelings simultaneously, you're beyond stuck. You're in the hole. And the cure for that is prayer, is meditation, and it's really looking inside your soul. Who am I really? Why am I here? You've forgotten. You've forgotten that you are love, and you are light, and you are joy, and you are focused. Focused energy, focused attention. And you're here for a reason. You are a piece of the cosmic jigsaw puzzle that only you can fill. And if you're feeling all of these, you've forgotten. You've forgotten who you are. So call that back to yourself. And begin. Begin with getting a new goal. Begin with finding the joyful path in your life. Begin with these little things. And the door will open for you. Because part of this, when we're that stuck, and sometimes we move into a place of waiting in God's waiting room so that we can be gifted with the energy to move forward. So we can be gifted with the energy of being out of this space of fight or flight and being into a space where we can think again. Does that make sense? Mr. Bill?